pros
and cons
of living in Venice, Florida.
When we first found Venice, it was kind of like a dream area for us, and we've been living here for 2 years, so we kind of have a pretty good idea of what the ups and downs are.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the area, make sure to call, text, or email me. I am a local realtor. My information will be in the description box below.
So the first pro is, you tell us, what's your first pro?
My first pro is the safety of the town, like feeling safe. Very low crime rate. I've never felt unsafe in Venice, and that's like very, very important to me. So safety is my #1 pro.
Yeah, I would say that definitely stands out. Not that Florida in general feels unsafe, but there's definitely some cities.
There's some pockets that,
yeah, and I'd say just as a whole, Venice, of all the cities I've been in, outside of maybe Naples, I have never been in a city where I felt like, wow, like I don't think any crime ever happens here. Not that nothing ever does, because I mean, I'm sure there's some crime. We know there is some crime, but I can't think of a much safer city I've ever been into anywhere in the United States.
Yes, I would have to agree with that. And I think this is a great community as well, people looking out for each other, so yes.
I think that ties into the next pro, would be that small town feel.
Yeah.
That is very nice. I mean, that's maybe not a pro for everyone, but I like that about it. It's very friendly, very quaint. Feels like you can approach just about anyone and have a conversation with them. Mm-hmm. You just don't find that in a lot of cities, and it definitely stands out to being on another level here. Yeah,
people are more approachable here. You don't feel like sometimes you'll see people that are serious and maybe like grumpy. Even if they're not grumpy, it feels that way, so you don't want to approach them. I feel like there is not much of that here.
I think part of that is because of all the retirees too, maybe. I mean, a lot of people are here visiting, on vacation, or retired. I mean, when are you going to be in a better mood than when you're doing all sorts of 3 things? So when you live here, you kind of feel like you're also visiting, retired, and on vacation a little bit, even if you have a 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that definitely makes living here nice. My next pro is not being too far from Sarasota. I don't know that I would like to live in Sarasota. It depends on the day. Sometimes I would like it, sometimes I won't. But being so close to Sarasota, like we find ourselves driving to Sarasota just to go to the downtown or go out to eat. It's not very far. You didn't mention your favorite thing about Sarasota. Yeah, or going to the beach, Siesta Key Beach. Sometimes we'll just, like on the day, let's go to Siesta Key or let's go to Sarasota. It's only like a 30-minute drive tops. So being close to a bigger city, for me, it's a pro, and it's important too, because a lot of times if you want to go shopping, Venice does have a lot of shopping, but if you want to have more options, UTC Mall, it's very close. It's right off the highway. It's probably a 25-minute drive for us. 20? Yeah, maybe 30. It depends on traffic. On traffic, yes. Yeah, all that. So before we get to some more pros, let's get to some cons, because that kind of made me think of a con, so we'll go back and forth a little more. But a con for Venice is definitely that small town feels also kind of a negative. It's not as much stuff to do as, say, Sarasota. There's still, I think, enough to do. There's a lot, as we've said on some other videos, a lot more stuff to do if you like being outside, walking on trails, tennis courts, all the stuff on the water, the beaches, all that kind of stuff. But there's not as much big box stores. There's not like a big mall. There's not a lot of business things to do, where you're doing it indoors. Yeah, so if you want things like that, you would have to, take a drive down probably to Sarasota. Maybe Northport has a little more. Yeah, certain stores they have that we don't, and Fort Myers, I guess, is another option. Port Charlotte, for that matter. I mean, they have a mall. It's not the best or the biggest, and some stores are kind of going out of business there, but it gives you options. Another con is, even though it is a small town, during the snowbird season, so in winter, we do see an influx of people and an influx of traffic, and so many different driving styles. We'll have the slower traffic, the snowbirds typically drive a little bit slower, and then we'll have the locals getting maybe a little frustrated because of that, so they'll start driving a little more aggressive, which during the summer I feel like this is not as common, or at least I've noticed it more during winter. So traffic, and also since there is a lot more people here, there's a lot more traffic and very slow moving traffic. Yeah, I'd say that's the biggest difference in winter is a lot, especially like on the main road to Miami, 3 lanes. Pretty much everyone's driving about the same speed, side by side, at the speed limit or a little slower, so that can get frustrating. Makes it a little bit longer to get where you're trying to go. But then you just plan for it, maybe leave 10, even just 5 minutes before. Yeah, and I would say the one thing that it's a con, but it's still kind of a pro, is compared to other cities in their busy season, like let's say Orlando, I feel like the traffic that time of year feels unsafe. Here it just moves slower. I don't feel unsafe driving. One other thing to consider is where you're coming from will really shift your perspective on if that traffic is good or if it's bad. If you're coming from a really big city like LA or New York, you might not think the traffic's bad at all. If you're coming from a small town, it might be a little bit much for you. So there might be some adjustments there. But if you're from a medium-sized town, maybe it's okay.
Yeah, and we've heard this from a lot of different people too when we talk to them coming out of state buyers, and they're like, oh no, the traffic here is nothing, like this is nothing. And then we'll have others that are like, no, like I can't move here because there's way too much traffic, I can't do this. And I mean, traffic, it's not that bad. We're from a small town, but we also got kind of used to the Orlando area traffic, so we kind of have three different driving styles to compare.
Yeah, once we got here, it's like, well, it's easier than Orlando, so it's awesome. That brings me to another, and then this one I think is like a split pro and con, and it's a kind of a broad thing, but it's summer. Summer in Venice is very different than winter for a ton of reasons.
It's very hot.
It's very hot, but the traffic is amazing. It's almost borderline a ghost town, so things aren't open as much or certain hours or certain days. But when you want to go somewhere, it's easy to get in there. You don't have to wait to get into a restaurant. Getting in stores and grocery stores, there's not as many people. Yeah, summer's just a very different animal. It's a pro and a con.
Yeah, it's like you have the city to yourself almost. But then again, if you want to go out to eat, that restaurant might not be open. So you have to be a little more mindful of hours. And sometimes business owners, they'll actually take a whole month off to go like somewhere else, like either to go up north where they're from or to go to a different country. Like our favorite French restaurant, it has been shut down for like a month at a time.
I think every September she closes down and goes back to France.
So yeah, you just have to, be mindful of that and try to get all your eating in when the restaurants are open. And this is not for all restaurants.
Yeah.
Like, it's only a few here.
McDonald's doesn't shut down in September, believe it or not.
They don't
it's
take
crazy.
a break.
They don't take it off.
Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays though.
Yeah, but we don't have Chick-fil-A. We got to go out to Sarasota for that. That's another little mini con.
Yeah. Another pro are the beaches. We have 4 different beaches and they're all like different styles. Like I would say Venice, like our main Venice beach, that's more like touristy. So if you want to go and feel like you're on vacation or something, you would go to Venice Beach.
But it's also very kind of basic in a way too.
There's not much to do. Yeah, there's
the washing stations, the bathrooms, the little overhang.
Yeah.
There's a concession stand type thing or whatever, but they're hardly open either, so there's that.
Yeah, and there is like no restaurants or anything nearby. If you wanted to grab a bite to eat, you would have to go to the downtown, which is not that far. But you would have to, like change back into your normal clothes or if you wanted to go to the downtown area. But we also have Casperson Beach, which if you want to go shark tooth hunting or find shells on the beach, this would be a great beach to go to.
Yeah, there's literally like a mound of seashells that's usually sitting there in prehistoric shark teeth. It's actually, that beach kind of got Venice the nickname of the shark tooth capital of the world. So yeah, a lot of fossil shark teeth. We also have the dog beach, which that's real cool. You can have your dog there off the leash. They can go swimming, play in the sand, whatever it is that dogs do, sniff each other's butts, all that kind of fun stuff.
And then we also have Sharky's on the pier, which there is 2 restaurants, and then there is a little beach there that you can go to, and then there is the pier. So this would be the only beach really that if you wanted to grab a bite to eat while you're on the beach, like this is the only place that you could do it at.
Or a tropical drink.
Yes.
If you want to get a tropical drink from the like tiki hut type thing they got. Well, it is a tiki hut from Sharky's. You can get that. Finn's is a little bit more of like the upscale thing. We still haven't ate there or gotten anything there. We really need to make a point to stop there. But we've been to Sharky's multiple times. And some people consider that to be somewhat touristy too, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of the locals, to me, it's more of like one of those like tradition things, like snowbirds that come here. I'm sure they got to like at least once get to Sharky's, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Another pro of Venice, I think, is something that we have that is very unique. No one else in the world has this except for Nokomis, and it's the jetty.
Yeah, I'm sure no one else has.
Because we have the South Jetty, Nokomis has the North Jetty, but the jetty's very cool. Great area to go. You can drive. There's a big parking lot there. It does even get packed in the winter months, even with as big as it is. Also, quick side note pro that I just thought of, free parking there and all the beaches. That's another pro to all of Sarasota County, really. But the jetty is great if you want to kind of go to the beach without going to the beach. You can walk out, literally kind of be in the middle of the water, see dolphins swimming.
Great sunsets.
Great sunsets. You can just sit in your car and watch the water. You can bring your dog there, not under the jetty, but they are allowed in the parking lot as of right now. They changed that ordinance about a year ago. There's a little hut there. What is it? Jetty Jacks.
Jetty Jacks.
Where you can get food, drinks. So yeah, nice area to kind of have a beach experience without having to maybe get all the sand in your drawers.
Another pro to Venice is the historic downtown. This area is great for just going for a walk. A lot of people will, go and have lunch or dinner at all of the restaurants that we have. There is a lot of different shops, souvenir shops. It's a great area. Some people would say that it is touristy because we do have a lot of people that come, for vacation or snowbirds, but it's a great area to even just go for a walk.
Yeah, we go there all the time, hang out. There's a splash pad there also for the kids. And then one nice thing about that, I think that's really unique, is they have that Heritage Park walkway trail area that goes all the way to the beach. Very walkable from there to the beach. And then they added recently to that Heritage Park trail a lot of like swing bench thingies. They're like these bench swings that you can sit on.
For adults.
And there's big banyan trees, lots of shade on that whole walkway. So when you combine that with the beach and the downtown, it's just a very unique, pleasant area. Lots of shade for a hot summer day.
And another pro to that too is that all the parking, it's free, and we actually have this big park. It's called Centennial Park, and it's full of just parking spots, and it's all free.
Yeah, it makes it real easy to just go there, park. You can walk all around the super walkable downtown, one of the best areas I've been in Florida for that. So we were really trying hard to think of some more cons to make it feel like a more balanced video, because we really do love Venice. But here's one that I thought of that maybe is kind of a con, I think, for a select group of people, and I'd say it's for younger adults that don't have families. I think it's very great for families, very great for retirees, pretty solid, I'd say, for kids too. But if you're like someone that's like 19, 20, 21,
even teenagers,
yeah, it's not quite as of an exciting town, not as much to do, again, unless you like doing more of that outdoor stuff.
Outdoor stuff like on the water or going for a hike, things like that. But yes, if you're a teenager that maybe enjoys going shopping or going to a mall, we don't have a mall here. So yeah, that would be a con.
And I've heard it both ways from people that have grown up here and that are now adults, and also kids that are at that age right now. Some kids love it, at that age here. It just depends on, I guess, what you're into. And then some have just, and said that they couldn't think of anywhere else they would rather grown up. But then there's some people who are just like, yeah, it's too slow, it's too boring, or whatever the case may be. So
I think it's tougher on, if you're a teenager moving from like a bigger city to Venice, because then, you had a lot of things to do. Now you don't have much to do. And another con for Venice is that there's not a lot of work opportunities. We do have an Amazon warehouse, and we also have, like healthcare related opportunities, and also more like restaurant type work if you are a server or a bartender. But we don't really have as much of like what you would call the professional corporate America jobs.
Yeah, there's not a lot of offices or factory type work or stuff like that. Yeah, just not a lot of that here. So you either have to have your own business, work from home, or be retired, or have a lot of cash, a lot of cash buyers around here. Another pro, but before I give it to you, I want to give a quick, it's like a multiple list con. It's kind of like Florida stuff. So a lot of people, there's certain things about Florida they're not used to. We have 10 things that you might hate about Florida. We'll link that in the description down below. But another pro about Venice is that despite, especially since like the pandemic and everything, like prices skyrocketed here. Like they did everywhere, but even more so here. Even despite that, I still feel like it is a very good value to be in a quiet, small, safe beach town with a fair amount of stuff to do, family friendly, good schools. I mean, there's really not too many actual like big glaring cons about the city, and despite all that, I feel like it's a pretty well-priced area.
When you compare prices from 2 years ago to now, you're like, holy cow, like things are just like ridiculously high right now. But if you compare the whole Southwest Florida area to, say, like the Orlando area, or even maybe going down south by Miami area, we're still pretty affordable compared to that.
Yeah, and when we bought right before, when the pandemic had started and prices before they skyrocketed. Like now in retrospect, I feel like we got a steal of a deal. Yes. and now I still feel like it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I feel like maybe 2 years ago it was a little undervalued, and now I feel like it's kind of like that's where it should have been to begin with.
Yeah, honestly.
But yes, I can understand why people are like, no, like it's just way too high, you know, like especially if you were maybe born here or have been here for like 10, 15 years, then yeah, prices are ridiculous right now compared to that.
Yeah, it's a very big change. But I mean, as always, if you are looking to move to the area,
make sure to call, text, or email me. I am a local realtor here. My information will be in the description box below.
Leave a comment with any questions you have. We'll get to it in a future video. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and
live breezy.